Today we're going to learn how to use your aseptic technique. Aseptic technique should be used with all procedures in microbiology to keep the organisms in your primary culture from contaminating your bench environment, and also from keeping the organisms in your environment from contaminating your patient specimens and cultures. So the first thing I'm going to do is subculture a broth specimen to a fresh broth. You can tell this has organisms growing in it because it is cloudy, and this subculture broth that has nothing in it should be nice and clear, nothing growing in it. So once I've labeled my subculture broth with my patient name and date and everything accordingly, the first thing I want to do is obtain a sterile pipette. With my dominant hand, I'm going to remove it from the packaging. I'm going to pick up the culture that needs to be subbed and remove the lid carefully with my pinky finger. I'm going to aspirate some of the culture. You just need a few drops, and replace the lid carefully with my pinky and place it directly in the test tube rack. Next, I'm going to pick up my fresh broth, again removing the lid with my pinky, and dispense my culture into my broth. Immediately replace the lid and place it in the test tube rack and dispose of your pipette. Another type of subbing technique you might find yourself doing is subbing a liquid specimen to a solid plate. I've already labeled my plate with my patient name, the date, who's doing the subbing, and that it's broth to plate. You want to label the rim around the plate so it doesn't interfere with you reading the plate, and then you also want to label the media side rather than the lid itself in case they get separated. So for a subbing of broth to a solid plate, again, you're going to use your pinky finger. You need to obtain a sterile pipette. You can also use a loop. Remove the lid of the broth with your pinky, never setting the lid down to contaminate your environment. You just need a drop or two. I turn my plate over and put a drop at about 12 o'clock and dispense of the pipette. At this point, you can do your streaking techniques, which you'll find in another video. Okay. Another technique to subculture is subculturing actual organisms from a solid plate to a fresh media. To do that, you want to use a loop. You want to incinerate your loop until it's red hot. It should only take a couple of seconds, and when you pull it out, you want to see the tip of your loop red hot. You want to wait a few seconds for the loop to cool. You don't want to agitate the loop to make it hurry up. You do not want to insert the hot loop into your media, causing aerosols. So once it's appropriately cooled, you're going to select a small amount of the culture. It doesn't take much. And inoculate your fresh media at approximately 12 o'clock. At that point, you can begin your streaking technique, which will be elaborated on in another video. Immediately put the lid back on your media and incinerate your loop again till it's red hot. This completes aseptic technique.